Hello, dear friends. Popcorner has become a pejorative label when in fact it could mean something other than mere passivity. Opinion piece. Popcorn. Game of Thrones. Are we exploding? We are the popcorn. The storm is already raging. You can feel the wind of change. New BRICS Development Bank. Former China's leader Hu Jintao arrested. Xi Jinping wins CCP Congress. We are at a critical point in civilization. Let's start. The popcorn metaphor has two interpretations, active and passive. The active would be the awakening of consciousness, as the popping of the corn. The passive one would be sitting on the sofa doing nothing and enjoying the show, which wouldn't be bad in principle, because everyone has the right to rest and recreation. I have been accused of being a popcorn popper or popcorner, because I defend both options at the same time. That is to say, that everyone should fulfill their mission and take the rest every day, because it is very important not to live under stress, which would not exclude external help, as the saying goes. God begging and with the cable hitting. Ascension is individual and could be compared to popcorn. The kernels pop at their own speed, but only a few escape the pop. Some have already popped. Some others have popped but are still partially in the shell, because that is where their work is. So, when they say grab the popcorn and enjoy the show, we ourselves are the popcorn. Definition. Popcorn is a salty or sweet snack made from some special varieties of corn. For its elaboration, corn kernels of a special type are used, which are placed in a pot or container and fried in vegetable oil until an explosion occurs. They are eaten with salt and butter or caramelized. This popular trait is popular with moviegoers and is available worldwide. Only some varieties of corn produce the desired result, which is the sudden expansion of the contents of the kernel, causing the husk to suddenly break, and the formation of a white fluffy mass, a phenomenon mainly due to overheating of the internal moisture and the starch contained within. Poppy maize or rosette maize or pisingalo or the variety Thea maize severata sturd is used. Because popping can throw popped and unpopped corn kernels a considerable distance, popcorn is usually prepared in a container with a lid. During popping, the popcorn produces a characteristic popping and popping noise, together with its unmistakable aroma. Spiritual awakening. According to Steve Biko, Archangel Michael said that the level of Great Awakening is already occurring across the planet with the depletion of the humankind, and that it is the best news we have witnessed in a long time. The awakening has already occurred, and some have already ascended, but there are others who need a strong snap. As we move from there to approach ascension, we move beyond the 7 chakra system. The new stop is Sahaya Samadhi, a full and permanent open of the heart, in a body transformed into a crystal able to travel between dimensions. Sahaya is called by a dozen names. It may be better to list some of them so that there is no mistake, because there has been some confusion in the past. These terms are equivalent. Sahaya Nirvikalpa Samadhi, Vijnana Buddhahood, the other shore salvation, redemption, resurrection, moksha, mukti, liberation from birth and death, and ascension. These other experiences are lesser than sahaja and still within the framework of the third dimension. They are called Brahmajnana, jnana, cosmic consciousness, transcendental consciousness, enlightenment of the seventh chakra, realization of the self, etc. This event is known to all spiritual traditions of humankind. It is part of the perennial philosophy, the ancient wisdom, the Dhammapada. It is simply not known to this generation, but when it becomes officially known, it will have a very positive impact on the collective consciousness of humankind. Higher dimensions. The higher dimensions are the destination of all spiritual traditions, called the Promised Land, Paradise, Elysian Fields, Heaven, etc. Mystics are those who have glimpsed or reached a higher dimension of consciousness. All people who have a near-death experience and pass through a tunnel are passing into a higher dimension through the heart gate or Hridayam. We are going towards an opening of the heart gate, and we are going to the higher dimensional rule change. Very few writers on the afterlife emphasize the fact that in the higher realms all are immersed in wondrous love. Each is saturated with that Cryon recently called multi-dimensional affection. It is a transforming and transfiguring affection that flows like a sensationless river in any higher dimension. Some are coming gradually, and some will need the full complement. Sahaja Samadhi. Some are not there, some are there, and some come and go. As Sri Ramakrishna reminded, some will eat in the morning, some at the noon, and some at the night, but all will be fed. There is no need to fear missing out. Changing the past. Rewrite the energy of the past by Cryon through Lee Carroll. There are some who have said, I don't want to wait a generation for some of these evolved ideas to begin to work in my consciousness. I don't want to wait to be reborn, perhaps in another body, to begin to pick up the wisdom of the past. I don't want to wait. So, if you are one of those who are way ahead of the curve, you don't have to wait. You really don't have to wait at all. You have to know and believe that you can do this now. Is it possible for a human being to rewrite the energy he remembers from 1,000 lifetimes? Does humankind have the power? The answer is yes, more so now than ever before. In ancient times, we have sat at the feet of gurus who could do this and more. Now each of us is learning the mastering and changing the Akasha in part of that. It includes the energy of the ways you died, the children you lost, the wars you died, the others you killed, and those who killed you. You have been in all those circumstances that were this dramatic and more. There were lives so horrible that you never experienced joy. Reset News. According to Charlie Watt on Friday 21st October, the BRICS portal of the 4 portals of the QFS was turned on. New BRICS Development Bank. The main institutions of the Bretton Woods system, which have existed since World War II, are losing their economic weight. Key players in the developing world are now coming to the fore, challenging outdated rules of the game. Instead of destroying the legacy of the last century, they offer an alternative economic system where every player can influence important decisions at the international level. The storm rider says that we are in for the storm of the century and that there can be no intervention until the final events lead to days of darkness, civil unrest and blackouts. He adds that the bad events must happen because that is the only way to wake the sleeping sheep, and that they will step aside so as not to block operations, according to the game theory. There has been talk for a long time of these events to come, from the blockade to the collapse of the economy to civil unrest to the disconnection of ATMs. Many things are happening, but the most important is that there will be no nuclear war, just a very intense blockade, as the world goes into military law after the economic meltdown. The White Hats are out to take control of social networking sites and operations that are still unknown and only known to the coalition and insiders. If a nuclear bomb were to go off in the near future, it would most likely be a big stockpile of TNT with lots of green screen manipulation. Puffness said, "Everyone is waiting for the changing of the guard, the clanking of metal and the rattling of sabers that accompanies threats of war. They are all being valleys from these days onwards in the times they are living in. Don't get caught up in the drama and psychodrama. Make the most of everything and pay attention to every hour of every day. Things are changing quite rapidly, and you must be awake to hold on the truth through all the machinations that are unfolding. We are on the lookout for more news, as these days highlight all the shifting issues that have yet to be addressed. Avoid getting caught up in people's dramas that could trap you and bring you down." China. The 20th National Congress of the CCP concludes, "There is a clear distinction between the CCP and the People's Republic of China. Xi Jinping secures a third term as head of the CCP and surrounds himself with his proteges. China's President Xi Jinping was directly involved in the selection of candidates for the Central Committee and set the criteria. The main criteria were the ability to stand up to the West under the pressure of sanctions and to guarantee national security. Former Chinese leader Hu Jintao is escorted out of the party congress. Something strange has happened. Xi Jinping expelled his predecessor Hu Jintao, former president of the CCP, from the party summit, and he did it live on television in full view of the whole world. Remember the 50-mile-long military convoy that went to Beijing last month at the same time that his house was surrounded by a whole division of troops to protect him. Someone attempted a military coup against Xi, but a component of the army came to his aid. Xi arrested the leaders of the failed coup, Hu Jintao and his proteges Li Keqiang and Wang Yang, under house arrest until further notice. And yet, some say nothing happened on 24th September. One of the clique teams has just lost some important chess pieces, and the other team has made significant progress. As a general rule, when the pieces are shuffled in any of the major current countries, they are shuffled at the same time in this Game of Thrones. The storm is already raging. You can feel the winds of change. Excuse me. Collapse is the title. We live in a world where supply shortages and commonplace are an impact on the economy to a degree we have not seen in decades. The Fed blinks and sent the stock market soaring. But how long will it last? Asked Gregory Manarino. Wall Street posts its best week since June, with gains of around 5%. Oil prices rise after stockpile drawdown. The Fed could raise interest rates to 5% in 2023. Former Trump advisor Steve Bannon sentenced to 4 months in jail for contempt of court. Predictions. Elon Musk believes the recession will last until the spring of 2024. Nouriel Roubini predicts that stagflation will combine with debt problems. Bloomberg reports. Stephen Van Metre believes Fed reversal is imminent, as fears of massive recession are causing dissent among strategists, which could lead to a change in Fed policy in a matter of months. Monetary policy has long and variable lags, which is why strategists fear the West is about to hit the economy. Europe. The European Union reaches a minimum agreement to try to make gas cheaper. The European Union seeks to reduce its dependence on China for technology and raw materials. Macron criticizes the US for selling its gas at high prices. France will host a conference in support of Moldova in November. Transnistria declares emergency over reduced gas supplies to Moldova. Hungary gets a derogation from the application of the Russian gas price cap. Scholz says that a direct confrontation between Russia and NATO must not be allowed. Berlin ignores Russia's request to participate in its Nord Stream investigation. The European Union is considering aid for Ukraine of €1.5 billion per month. An elite US air assault division trains near the Ukrainian border, reenacting combat against Russian troops. Asia. An unprecedented boom makes Russia India's 7th largest trading partner. Riyadh and Beijing stress the importance of oil supplies to stabilize the market. Sri Lanka amends its constitution to limit the president's powers. Iraq cooperates with Russia and has developed solutions to transport and payment problems. The Russian-Iraqi Business Forum was held in Moscow on Thursday, 20th October. Iran compares US sanctions mania to a virus. Iran hopes to become Russia's largest grain buyer by 2023. Africa. Despite aid, Somalia's population is one step away from famine. More than 1.5 million children are at risk from flooding in Nigeria. Curious. Crack in the Earth's magnetosphere. Bright auroras danced around the Arctic Circle on 22nd October, when a major crack opened in the Earth's magnetosphere. Asteroid acquires twin tails after impact of NASA's Kamikaze probe. China's FAST telescope finds the largest atomic cloud in the universe. Chinese scientists begin experimenting with seeds brought back from space. Russian Academy warns against breaking scientific ties with unfriendly countries. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.